Hello beautiful glam girls, welcome back to another video. So first of all, let me just say it is Saturday night. So weird to be just sitting here filming a video for tomorrow. So I am filming tomorrow, well, today's story time video. So that's what we're gonna do. So I just want to say that if you hear any random noises, for some reason the neighbor's kid at night just doesn't know how to act and they start making a lot of noise. It's really weird. So if you hear that, it's not me trying to be creepy putting sound effects. It's my neighbor's kid who apparently doesn't sleep, doesn't eat, doesn't do anything but scream all day. Also, I have my puppy here. Kal-El is here. This is my 6-month-old puppy. He's a Morkie, so he's usually in the background of my video. So if you see something moving around, it's my sweet boy. Oh, okay. I don't think he likes the light. Might be too much on his eyes, but he'll be back here. So anyway, that was a weird intro. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. I feel like I look really pale because the light is really bright and it's dark. But yeah, you see that? We'll fix it. Haven't seen the sun in so long. Anyway, so if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Gabriellaglamour, or like the channel says, Gabriellaglamour, glamour. So thank you for joining me. We have another Storytime Sunday. So if you haven't known, I started a new series on my channel. Every Sunday we have a Storytime and makeup video. For me, this is just a more fun way of doing makeup tutorials on my channel, because sitting down and just talking about makeup and just doing my makeup, it wasn't getting the blood boiling. But this is a lot more fun. So I've done so far only personal stories, but I let you guys know last week and I think the week before that you know, eventually I wasn't gonna have many stories to tell, and I thought, you know, longevity wise, telling my own personal stories is just not the best. So I was like, let me know what kind of things I should do, what kind of videos I should do, like story related. And a lot of you guys said like murders, mysteries, or like conspiracy theories. So I ended up coming across this conspiracy theory, that really got me, and I thought it was interesting. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Today's video is going to be about the conspiracy theory surrounding the month of April and the tragedies and terrible things that apparently happen in April, and specifically the US, but pretty much all over the world. There's something happening in April, and I also thought, what better time to talk about something like this than the month herself, Miss April. So that's what this video is going to be about. It's all about the conspiracy theory that says that April is the month of blood sacrifice of the government, of the world, the country, I don't know, more like the world. And we're going to talk about it. So buckle in, kids. You're in for a ride. Moisturizer on and stuff like that, because we're not really going outside. This is just for fun. So this whole conspiracy stems from the fact that there are a lot of massacres, mass shootings, a lot of world events, and just terrible things that have occurred in the month of April. And if you actually look up the month of April and you just look up maybe like April tragedies or things that have happened in April, things like that, you will be surprised at how many of the terrible things that you know of have actually happened in April. And it's like, it's not the kind of thing that you think about or dwell on, but it is there. I'm using the Hourglass brow pencil. It's one of my favorites. This is in the shade Warm Brunette. So I have a list here on my phone, kind of like a little essay, so I could use that as a guide for this video. I'll just read you a little bit of like some other things. So we have for example, the Notre Dame fire that occurred. So for foundation, I'm gonna mix a few foundations that I don't really love. We have the Milk Matte Foundation, the CoverGirl Clean Finish Foundation, and the Flesh Beauty Pure Flesh Foundation. Also, Hitler was born and died in April, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. We also have the Lincoln assassination. President Lincoln was also killed in April. We have the Titanic sinking. That also happened in April. We also have the San Francisco earthquake, which was this really terrible earthquake that killed a lot of people, and there was blocks and blocks of San Francisco that was ruined by this earthquake. It like really messed up a bunch of houses in San Francisco, and it's just seen as like a big tragedy in San Francisco. The Waco siege, which everybody pretty much knows about, and that was a really big tragedy. If you don't know, maybe you're young, look up Waco, Texas siege. That was a really big event that happened in April. We also have the Ludlow massacre, the Oklahoma City bombing, which everyone knows about, the Columbine shooting, which was absolutely terrible. We have the Virginia Tech school shooting, the Boston Marathon, which was only a couple years ago. So there's a lot that we could unpack with the month of April. You know, if you think about it, there's this kind of idea about April that it's the time for rebirth. And, you know, even what we're taught in school is that April showers bring May flowers. And it's kind of this idea that April is a time for a symbolic death and rebirth. April is kind of the unofficial start to spring. So officially spring starts in March. But, you know, most of the US, April is kind of like the symbolic start of spring for us, because we have Easter, which is also another symbolic rebirth and death, or death and rebirth, that we kind of practice in terms of religion. So we also have with April the symbolic, like I was saying before, the symbolic death and rebirth of the seasons. We have this kind of death of winter and death of the cold, and then we have this symbolic rebirth of the crops and flowers and, you know, spring, and the earth is kind of reborn. So we have this like I said, symbolic death, and we also celebrate a quite literal, which some people could consider it symbolic, but for others who believe in Christ have this literal death and rebirth that they celebrate, which would be Easter, with the death and rebirth of Jesus. It's a time when there's rain, and rain, you know, also symbolically represents prosperity, which goes into where everything kind of stems. I think that's why people have taken to this month as a month to kind of connect it with this idea of the occult, and this idea of Baal, or Baal, which is the god that we are going to be talking about in reference to April being this month of tragedy, and that tragedy is a sacrifice for this god Baal, or Baal, however you want to say it. It's B-A-A-L. Conspiracy theorists believe that April is a time when people are being sacrificed for this god Baal. And basically Baal is a god that is actually mentioned in the Bible many times in the Old Testament as a pagan god. So the word Baal, first of all, is mentioned in the Bible many times. The word itself actually just means leader or god. So there's references to this word in other parts of the Bible where they are talking about different gods, and some people even say, like, well, they could be talking about, you know, the God himself, and then with translations and things it was taken in a different way and things like that. I'm going in with my matchsticks by Rihanna, or Fenty Beauty, sorry. I'm actually just gonna put that all over the eyes because this is gonna be the base for my eyeshadow. So Baal is this pagan god that is one of the gods that the Israelites and the Canaanites worshipped, right? Because this is before Jesus Christ. This is before, you know, Yahweh, the God of the Bible. This god is the god that the Israelites confused for the real God, if you will. And this god apparently is the Lord of prosperity, and brings rain, and brings crops and all this kind of stuff. So they believed that in order to have prosperous crops, to have prosperity, they even believed that he was the god of fertility, that to have all of these things there had to be, guess what, sacrifices, and usually it was like human sacrifices, or even some texts say that it's anything that kind of represents the young, the innocent, so virgins or the firstborn or just children. It really depends on whose version you are reading about. I want to apologize if I sound a little bit all over the place. It's hard for me, it's a little bit difficult to do my makeup and also kind of concentrate on what I'm saying. So if I sound a little confused or a little unsure, it's because I'm trying to think as I'm doing my makeup. The Urban Decay Powder Foundation in the shade 60WY. I actually really like this. Through fire, you worship and sacrifice. When the child sacrifices comes in, their virgin sacrifices come in, and things like that. There's text that states the officiating priests of these worship sessions and these sacrifices would stab themselves and dance around the altar as a way to show that they were willing to sacrifice themselves and things like that. And another supporting story, a lot of people refer to the story of God telling Abraham to kill his son or sacrifice his son, and then at the last moment telling him not to, as a reference to this sacrificing, and basically the true God showing the Israelites that following these practices was incorrect, and that there was no need to actually sacrifice your actual child or children in general, that a animal sacrifice was sufficient enough. So that kind of supports the idea that the Israelites did sacrifice children. The basic story is that the Israelites did not frown upon this worshiping of this God, and it was more once the true God comes into the story that then little by little it becomes obviously wrong to pray to these pagan gods, like it says in the Bible that God came to them and told them that it was wrong and all this kind of stuff. And then eventually it was the kind of thing that was abolished in a sense. But now people believe in modern day and age that that's why we have these like secret societies and secret religions, because they actually still exist. That's up for you to believe. If you are a conspiracy theorist, a lot of conspiracy theorists believe that these kind of like secret societies like the Illuminati and things like Bohemian Grove, which is another kind of secretive elitist community that comes together, and they also have their own kind of altar. It is this 20-foot hollow owl that apparently there are ceremonies that occur around this owl that kind of are similar to the idea of an occult sacrifice kind of setup. And it's believed that that is where like presidents and world leaders and tech giants and all these kind of powerful people in the world, that they come together there and kind of have their own secret society there as well. So, even though these things exist, it doesn't necessarily mean they're evil, but people attach that kind of evil identity to it. And the reason that specifically April, not only because of the tragedies, people have taken the fact that these tragedies have occurred in April, and they've tied it to the time period that people worshiped and sacrificed children and innocence in return for prosperity, because it's believed that in this time period between April 19th and May 1st is the occult holiday span. So if you look it up, you can find these kind of articles and websites that talk about the occult holiday, if you will, time span. I'm gonna go in with my Fenty Beauty little snap eyeshadow palettes. I'm gonna use number 7 for my lid because I really like these like mustardy tones that look like my sweater. I think I'm gonna go in with this like olivey mustardy brown. So apparently the time span of April 19th, which is actually a date in itself where a lot of things occurred, April 19th to May 1st is the occult holiday season. So May 1st is actually a the Illuminati's second most sacred holiday, and on that day there's supposed sacrifices that have to be human sacrifices that are made, and it's also the highest day on the Druidic witches calendar. So we have May 1st being an occult holiday for multiple religious or cult-like sectors. We also have the Beltane Festival, also called the Walpurgis Night, is the last day of April, and then May 1st is the Illuminati's most sacred holiday. Then we have that, like I said, that 13-day period, April 19th to May 1st. We have a lot of those events in April occurring in that week, and it's called like the Tragedy Week or something like that. You can actually look it up. So people connect those occult holidays to these events that happen in April. We also have numerology playing a part in this as well. And I mean, I didn't do too much research on the numerology aspect of it, just because for me personally, I didn't feel like I needed to do that research for this video. If you want to do that on your own time, please feel free. But we also have a little bit of numerology playing a part here with Hitler's death. He died on the last day of April, April 30th, and apparently the numbers of the day of his death equal 333, which has some significance to him or to the occult. Again, if you want to look more into that, feel free. I'm taking another blending brush. I'm going to take the medium brown from this palette at the top. It's this really pretty, this medium warm brown here. So I'm using this MAC glitter liquid eyeshadow in the shade Flash and Dash, and I'm gonna putting that over the lid. I'm gonna take more of that mustardy color, and I'm gonna pop that over the glitter, because I want the glitter, the mustardy shade, I want it to pop a little bit more. So the glitter is gonna act as a base. You can see now, you can see the like mustardy yellow shade popping out. And then I'm just gonna take more of the glitter and just layer it on top of that olive shade and put that out here. Really nice. There's also like a deeper like army green here. I'm wondering if I want to take a little bit of that. Oh, it's really pigmented. Okay, I took a little bit of that, and I'm gonna use that to deepen the outer corner even more. Oh yeah, that's nice. Ooh, that is pigmented, but I like the way that looks. This color story is really nice, and I feel like it really complements this sweater that I'm wearing, and it's just different. I never use colors like this, and I like that it's like color but still neutrally and nude in a way. And I kind of am really happy that I played with these colors, because it's something that I would have never done before. And then for the inner corner, I'm not sure if I want to put glitter. I was gonna put glitter in the inner corner because, you know, I'm crazy. But now I'm wondering if maybe I want to do something matte. The other palette on the other side that I have here is number 1. And there's like this matte cream shade. I feel like that would be better. I'm going to use my favorite lashes. You guys already know Dodo lashes. These are in the style D326. I love, love, love these lashes. They're my latest favorite. And as usual, I have a coupon code with Dodo lashes. So it's just my name, which is on the screen. So if you go to dodolashes.com, you get, I forgot how much it is, 25 cents off a lash. But there is a coupon code. And yes, I do make a commission, but you know, you don't have to use it, but you know, we both win if you do. So I love these lashes. They're my favorite. You guys know I'm a lash gal, and I've tried a lot of lashes, and these are just the ones that I've been using since, I want to say 3 years now. It's been a long time, and no other lash does it for me like these. I'm running out of glue. I gotta buy some glue. I wonder if I can get some on Amazon. Next time we go to Target for groceries, I gotta at least pop in the lash aisle and get some glue, honey. So basically, the conspiracy theory, just kind of, it's just people trying to connect, because when I was doing research on this, I was like, okay, well, how do you get from bad things are happening in April, bad things are happening in April, to, oh, it's because they, you know, it's part of this greater plan to sacrifice people to this god, because again, April is this month of rebirth. April is a month of things metaphorically, symbolically dying and being reborn. So how do you get from that to, you know, all these bad things in April are happening? But when you look at the kind of, you know, the conspiracy theorists kind of list of facts and information and proof to kind of back up their claims, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of interesting to see that correlation. And basically that's really it. Like, I was looking for some deeper meaning, and there really isn't. It's just people take, you know, these tragedies and they try to find an explanation for them, and they try to pin this kind of correlation and the responsibility on another event. And that goes for humanity in general. Like, it's always been that way. That's where we get the idea of all these different gods, and it's just been civilization after civilization using you know, making up these different explanations. That's where we get folklore and all these kind of like fantasy stories and all these, you know, stories that are passed down, because it's humanity trying to make sense of the things that are happening and the things that are going on. You know, the calendar in itself is not a real thing. That's a human-made, man-made thing to explain certain things and explain what the world is doing, you know. I'm gonna go in with this Flesh Beauty blush in the shade Hug. It's my favorite peachy blush. But I mean, it is interesting how many events have occurred in April that are, you know, crazy. But then we also have other things that, you know, that if we're following this kind of idea, then you have something like, you know, September 11th, and obviously that happened in September. So there are kind of cracks in the theory because other things have happened in other months. I'm really vibing with this like olive kind of eye. I didn't think that I would, but here we are. Okay, here we are. I really, really like it. Definitely let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I think it's interesting that, you know, as humans, we are just trying to find patterns to explain things, and I think that's what's happening in this situation with these conspiracy theorists. They're trying to explain these tragedies that are unfortunately happening in April and trying to connect it to this idea of sacrificing for the god of Baal, because there's this idea that the more people are affected, the more innocent people are affected, and the more people are horrified by the event, the more the god Baal or Baal is kind of worshipped and exalted through that horror of people. And what better way, right, than globally create these kind of catastrophes as a sacrifice to this god? And it's just interesting that people believe this and they tie it to all these different occults, and that's really the deep meaning here. They just believe that these religious sectors, occults, have just stood the test of time. The stories have been passed down, specifically in the Middle East and Africa and things like that, where obviously biblical times kind of stem from. If you believe in the Bible, if you're a Christian, Catholic, you know, it gets muddy there, but we can all kind of agree that that's like the area where Christianity kind of was born. And so it's still in those areas heavily believed that this god is the one that is responsible for fertility and prosperity and rain and fire and all these kinds of things. And so it's just interesting that we're trying to connect the dots here. And you know, it's a little like, well, the calendars weren't the same back then. So, you know, what we consider April probably wasn't April then. And that kind of also can affect things. We also have climate change and all these kinds of things that affect time, you know. I mean, what was cold to us now was maybe spring to them, or you know what I'm trying to say. Like, so we can't go according to those old scriptures or those old texts, you know, regardless of whether or not it was the Bible or just another story, and say like that their time periods and their time frame is the same as what we're living in now, because the calendars are not the same. So, you know, there's a lot of cracks and holes in this theory, but I just found it really interesting, being that we are in April, that we are in Holy Week right now. Today is Easter, and maybe it's a little sacrilegious or blasphemous to talk about a pagan god, but I thought it'd be really interesting to talk about this on a holiday like this, and to bring this kind of theory to light. So what do you guys think? Do you think that there is secretly this conspiracy of tragedy in the world, that bad things happen in April, specifically during Holy Week and the end of the month, and that it's some type of blood sacrifice to this god? Or do you think it's just people trying to make sense of tragedies that happen? Do you think that maybe it's just a coincidence that people are more hyped up and more revved up? There was also, when I was doing my research, there's also some connections between some of the tragedies that occurred in April because they were mirroring other tragedies in April. So it wasn't necessarily, oh, I just chose this date randomly. It was a purposeful, I chose the anniversary of this to do my tragedy, so that I could have a connection to that tragedy, or so that I could connect what I'm doing to that person's or that group's mission statement, that my mission statement is similar to theirs. So I chose this date as an anniversary homage to their crime or their tragedy. You get what I'm saying? So there is also that pattern that we could look at, of someone saying, hey, I want to choose April whatever because I admire that murderer and I want to commemorate them. So there is also that pattern that we have to bring into consideration. It's not always just a random occurrence. Now there are instances where it was random, like the Titanic and things like that, you know, but when it's something man-made, more like a bombing or stuff like that, then that's when it kind of comes into a conspiracy place. But if you have things that are like earthquakes, like the one in San Francisco, things like that, that's when it's a little more eerie that things tend to happen. But of course, if you were to put these statistics against the rest of the year, I'm sure you would find that maybe there's another month where this happens a lot as well, or there has to be some statistics there to show that this conspiracy has a lot of cracks in it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this video, about this makeup look. My eye's tearing, that's why I'm like being weird. Anyway, I love you guys. Stay glam. God bless. Don't hate me. God forgive me. I'm not trying to be blasphemous. I really was just interested in this. Let me know if you guys want more conspiracy theories on this during the Storytime Sundays. Again, if you want to share your own story time, it can be anything, you know, any kind of story time. You don't have to tell me the names or your name or anything. You can email me. It's literally gabriellaglamour@yahoo.com. The name that's on the screen, that is where I'm at everywhere. You can just Google schmoogly me and you'll find me anywhere. So if you want to send me your story, you want me to share your story anonymously, of course I could do that, and you can send it to me via email or even DM on Instagram. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. Have a great day. I love you. We're strong. We're gonna get through this together. And if you want some inspiration every day to kind of lift you up a little bit, definitely follow me on TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. It will be linked down below. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.